Good morning, everybody. Wow, we got 18 people on here already. That's awesome. I hope you're having a good morning. Today, we're going to talk about burdens. We're going to talk about letting go of burdens. It's a sin to carry them. So we don't want to do that. And a large majority of what we're going to discuss today and work on today is coming from the book, The Game of Life and How to Play It. I just sent the Google Drive version of it. It's a PDF version. You can print it out, put it in a binder, and refer to it often. You're going to want to. It's that good. So we're going to be talking about chapter 6 in that book today. If you scroll back through the comments section, you should be able to access the Google Drive document where you can print that out. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for jumping on. It's nice to see you guys all on here. Sometimes we have new people on. So if you're new to my classes, I do these every single Tuesday morning. They're free classes. You can also purchase the replays to these classes for the entire year if you go to my website, janetthurgood.com. I'll type it into the chat. Courses. You can also register on janetthurgood.com by entering your details, your name and your email into that form on that website, and then you'll get notified every single time we have class. You'll get the invitation and the Zoom link so that it's just emailed right to your email inbox. So if you want that, go over to janetthurgood.com and enter your info in, and you'll get those every single week. Also, if you want the handouts and the printouts for each class that we do, when I do printouts or handouts, those can be purchased in the courses area on my website as well. This class, I think that what we're going to do is we're going to make this available. I'll put it up on YouTube. You can go to my YouTube channel and you'll be able to rewatch this class. It might be sectioned into 2 parts. I don't know yet for sure how I'm going to do that, but just watch for that. I will send it out in the Facebook group, Greater Life, Greater Impact. Also, a last little bit of information. I'll type this here into the chat box as well. We are getting ready to run our next round of Greater Life, Greater Impact students. Those who would love to learn leadership in quantum healing and helping people to become more sovereign and self-aware. That this is my specialty. I help people to tap into the deeper levels of their being. I help people to find and access the uncharted waters of who they really are for healing and for spiritual awakening, for personal sovereignty and for transformation. And that is what I do. And so if you're interested in becoming a leader in that, you can go to Greater Life, Greater Impact. .com. And there's a wonderful training there that will teach you a little bit about our program that we offer. It's a 4-month program where you can become certified in the art of quantum healing so that you can become a leader in this modality as well. All right, so today we're talking all about carrying heavy burdens. Thank you guys for jumping on. I can still see lots of people joining us, so hopefully I'll keep up on that. If you're just now jumping on, please go to the chat box and kind of get updated on some of the notes and some of the announcements that we just did. But for now, I want you to grab a piece of paper and a pencil, because you're going to want to take some personal notes just for you as we process through a lot of the baggage, a lot of the burdens that maybe you're carrying. So I want you to kind of tune into that a little bit and think about, where in my life am I carrying a heavy burden? Is it a burden of fear? Is it a burden of deep sadness? Is it a burden of stress and worry and concern? Is a burden of lack and limitation? What is your heaviest burden? Maybe there are a few that come to mind, but I want you to just jot them down on a piece of paper. Write them out. What is burdening you? What's weighing you down? What's holding you back? What's keeping you stuck? What's keeping you from really seeing clearly, feeling happy, feeling light and fluffy and like you are on cloud 9? What is preventing that? So we need to identify the burden first. And while you're doing that, I'm going to read to you an excerpt from the Holy Writ, the Bible. Christ said, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. So I want you to think about what happens when we take a giant, huge, heavy boulder. This is interesting because it's one of the reasons why I depicted the heavy burden in your invitation today that came through on Facebook. A man carrying this giant heavy boulder on his back, say that 10 times fast, giant heavy boulder on his back, and he's climbing up a mountain. We do that too sometimes. Many of us do, all of us do. We all go through hard things that we perceive as hard and heavy and difficult. And if you were to tap into some of your heaviest burdens in your life right now, are you feeling sad? Are you feeling alone? Are you feeling resentment? Are you feeling bitterness, fear, judgment, pain, suffering, lack, sorrow, grief? What is it that you're feeling? Maybe you can start by identifying what are the feelings that are associated with this burden that you carry. Write those down. Write down, see if you can identify some of the feelings that come with the burden that you're carrying uphill on your back. Woo! And if you identify, I can feel you guys feeling. So as you identify those feelings, where do you feel that in your body and what does it feel like? Is it heavy? In fact, if you will, when you're done typing it or writing it on your paper, if you will type it into the chat box or unmute your mic and tell us what that feels like in your body to carry this burden. Maybe there's pain or suffering or sorrow or grief or guilt or shame, or I don't know what it is that you're feeling, what the burden is producing in your body. Maybe you feel a little bit of despair or despondency. Whatever it is, write it down on your paper, type it into the chat if you're willing. I know you're going to need a minute. As you're writing these things down, I want you to think about what I just read from Holy Writ. There's some really good advice in that scripture. Cast your burden on the Lord, and he will sustain you. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. So let's talk a little bit about what the yoke means. What is a yoke? If any of you have anything to add to this conversation, that would be fantastic. Elizabeth says that she's feeling some exhaustion, some loneliness. Her burden makes her feel like she's moving through quicksand and that she wants to go to sleep because it just weighs me down and I'm so tired. I can relate to all of that. Just so you know, just because we're having this conversation and this discussion doesn't mean that I'm coming from a perfected place in any of this. I feel burdens too in my life all of the time, and I have to work through these feelings, these lower level emotions, just like all of you all do. And so I figured maybe we could do this together. That was a great description, Elizabeth, that you just posted about having it make you feel like you want to go to sleep. Sleep actually is it's a It's a defense mechanism. It's a way for your subconscious and your conscious to distract yourself from feeling what you don't want to feel, from dealing with what you don't want to deal with that's hanging out in your body. Lana says, feeling some anxiety, some fear, and exhausted from fighting it to stay in faith. Yes. Well, if you want to stay in faith and move into faith, you have to allow the fight to be God's, not yours. The fight is God's. And I learned this from chapter 6 of this book that we're working from today. Chapter 6 is called Casting the Burden. We're working from the book, The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. You can Google it, or you can also access it. I put the link in the chat box. Just scroll back up if you are just now jumping on. Someone else. Okay, so Mike says he's feeling disconnected, feeling some shame, guilt. Ooh, feel that. Feel where you feel it. Extremely exhausting and lost. Yes, guilt is one of the heaviest. Guilt, shame, sadness, fear. Those are all really, really heavy energies, and they weigh you down. You can feel the heaviness weighing on the heart center. It's almost like something like a big boulder is right there, heavy on your heart, right? Or maybe you might feel it in the gut. You know, anxiety, oftentimes we feel guilt and anxiety in the upper gut, which is your power center, just below the sternum here. Your power center, if that's feeling weighed down and heavy, then you're probably going to feel it in that region of the body. Cherise says, the burden of oppression laced with shame and guilt for attempting sovereignty. Ooh, ouch, ouch. Whoa, I'm feeling that too. That is a familiar feeling. I have felt that as well. For me, that I feel those things with anxiety as well, because I feel like when I'm attempting to be sovereign, then the whole rest of the world wants to project onto me, no, you're doing it wrong. You're wrong. You're deceived. You're out of the box, right? Because oftentimes sovereignty will take you out of boxes. It'll take you out of cultural programming and cultural norms so that you can learn to stand on your own 2 feet, being yoked with God. Remember that scripture that I just read 2 times. Take my yoke upon you. What does that look like? What does it mean to take God's yoke or Christ's yoke upon you? I want you to think about 2 oxen. Back in the day when people did not have heavy farm machinery, they would use oxen because they were so sturdy and strong and could carry heavy loads. But one oxen by itself would kind of wander because the load is so heavy that they're pulling. Not only do they need 2, but if one was just pulling that load on by himself, then the oxen has a tendency to kind of waver and not be true and not be straight. And so what they did was they created these wooden yokes that they would place over the shoulders or the neck of the oxen so that there was more stability. They still have the load to carry, but now there's more stability because there's 2 of them, and it's a lot easier for 2 to go in a straight line when that yoke is keeping them connected to one another. It keeps us straight and true. Okay, let's go back to the chat. We've got a few more. Elizabeth says, I appreciate the guilt about attempting sovereignty. Grateful you brought that up. So many trying to pull me back into their control. Yes. Yeah, well, the world is all about that right now. People who are in leadership in general in the world, in every system, every religion is now kind of, we're seeing the corruption sort of infiltrate into every system, every religion, every organization that is of any size is starting to kind of project that onto their people, their culture. even in the workplace, even in society, even in like every organizational influence that has leadership influence to it is kind of doing that, pulling you into their control. And so if we want to be truly spiritually sovereign beings and not get led out of sorts and into deception, then we have to yoke to the one that will lead us to the true place, to the true self, to the truth of clarity, right? So how do we yoke then? Psalms 55 says to cast thy burden on the Lord. And this is one of the ways we're going to walk through this system, this process of yoking to Christ. Now, if you have alternate views, then adjust what we're talking about and how we talk about it. Adjust it to be in alignment with your belief system. Don't be offended by what we say if we use the word God or Christ, but adjust it so that it fits into the way you see it, the God that you, or the creator of all that is for you. Okay, so I'm going to use the terminology that works for me, the one that resonates with me the most. And you use the terminology, replace terminology if you need to, so that it aligns with where you're at. We actually, one of the things that came out in this chapter 6 in the book, Emily says the complete works of Florence Scovel Shinn is a free download on Audible if you have a membership. Yes, and it's worth it. She's got some really, she was a woman before her time. Her works came out back in the early 1900s, but yes, go research her and see if you can pull truths out of some of the things that she shares. And again, my disclaimer in all of this is, please don't just freely buy in. You got to go get your own truth. You got to go access your own truth by yoking to the one who can lead you to pure truth. Because once it comes through me, it's come through a filter. Once it comes through anybody, it's come through a filter, and now it's adulterated. Yeah, Emily, I've listened to all of her books multiple times. Yes, so good, so good. All right, so we violate, one of the things she says is that we violate universal, and I would add spiritual laws, godly laws, when we carry around heavy burdens. We violate laws of the universe by carrying around heavy burdens. And we don't want to violate laws. We want to be in alignment with truth, right? Okay, so one of the first things that I want you to do, if you haven't done it already, number one, write down what is the greatest burden that you're carrying right now. My cat is trying to get into my office. Oh my goodness, hold on. I'm gonna let him in just a second. Okay, write those things down. Write down what is the greatest burden that you're carrying. Maybe write down a couple if you have a couple, and then write down what are the emotions associated with that burden. Put that on your paper. Mary, come in. Come in. Okay, Gary, my cat Gary, he's so funny. All right, so once you've written that down, we're going to go ahead and get centered. So I want you to breathe into your body. So slow the breathing down. We're going to go into a slow energy and a slow breath, because if you can slow it down, you can actually quicken the energy and resolve it. So with that being said, everybody start to breathe. And with the breath, I want you to take your awareness deep down inside of your body. Slow everything down, slow the thinking down, slow the anxiety down, slow the energy down, way down. In through the nose, out through the mouth. As you're breathing now, I want you to take your awareness and your attention. I want you to drop down into your body. Let's pretend that there is like this beam of light from the top of your head going down through the center of your body all the way to the base of the spine. I want you to focus on that beam of light. We call that your center, your midline. Focus on that line in the center of your body and drop down, down, down with the breath. Slow your breath down. Drop yourself down to the base of the spine gradually. You'll notice that as you put awareness inside your body, you kind of hold your breath. So don't hold your breath. Breathe deeper. Breathe deeper. In fact, what I want you to do is put an imaginary nose at the base of the spine, deep down at the base of the spine. That was my cat. And breathe into that. When you breathe out on the exhale, drop your shoulders. Relax. You can roll your head around on the top of your shoulders. Look, we're looking for tension because where you're storing tension in your body is where you're storing the data. It's where you're storing the burden that you just put awareness on. So we want to look for that tension, and then we want to intentionally soften the body. So if you're noticing tension in your shoulders, drop your shoulders on the exhale, soften the body. Roll your head around a little bit to open up some space there. Roll your shoulders around, open up space. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Big breaths. Nice and long and deep and slow. Good. There's Gary. Oh my gosh, he cracks me up. Okay, keep that breath going. Keep the awareness at the base of the spine. You want to always be at the base of the spine. Now I want you to think about your burden. Just pick one for right now. Don't do all of them. You could try, but just pick one. The author is Florence Scovel Shinn. There you go. Choose your burden. Make sure you can identify with where you feel that burden. What does it feel like? Is it heavy? Is it dense? Is it pain? What does it feel like in your body? Feel that burden. Is it sadness? Is it grief? Is it resentment? Is it loneliness? What is it? Identify the feeling. What do you feel? Where do you feel that? Write down maybe a little bit of description of what you feel and where you feel it. So if it's deep sadness, or grief, you're probably going to feel it in the heart center. If it's guilt or shame, you might feel that in the gut, in the upper gut or the lower gut. So just notice, pay attention, and then also give it a number. So if you are feeling sadness and it's heavy on the heart, it's weighing you down on the heart, give it a number. If 10 is the worst, what number would you give it? Write that down. Take a couple of breaths in and breaths out. We want to see if we can engage the energy of this stuff and just let go of as much of it as we can. Now what I want you to do is close your eyes, and I want you to think in your imagination. I want you to imagine if this burden was like a giant boulder or something big that you are carrying. What would it be? Is it a piece of cement? Is it a giant boulder? Is it goo? Is it gunk? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Describe it. If it was something tangible, like an object that was tangible that you could touch, taste, smell, see, right? What would that be? Is it made of wood? Is it made of stone? Is it made of water? What is it made of? And what is it? Write that down. Describe it. I'll give you just a few seconds. Ooh, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. So I'm feeling mine mostly in the upper chest and also in the sternum area. So my power center and heart center. So for me, this is about forgiveness. This is about who I need to forgive. And I know I'm going to go there. But for right now, make your burden tangible. Create it into an object. Gary, stop. Make an object out of it. Now that you have this object, I want you to pull it into your hands. Loretta says, carrying lots and lots of plastic grocery bags filled with canned goods. Yeah, that's heavy, and that will weigh you down for sure. So hold it in your hands or your arms or carry it and look at it in your mind's eye. And I want you to say to the plastic bags filled with canned goods, or to the, mine actually does feel like a heavy boulder. It feels like I'm carrying something. So I'm looking at it in my mind's eye, and I'm going to say to it, would you like to become something else? And just get a sense for whether it says yes or no. Would it like to become something else? Would you like to become something else? It's a house. Not sure how to hold that. Just hold it in your mind. Just stand in front of the house, Elizabeth, and just hold it in your awareness and say, House of Burdens, would you like to become something else? Okay, now what I want you to do with your eyes closed and breathing into your body, we're going to clear our space a little bit so that we can empty some of this gunk out and resolve some of this energy. So I want you to take your awareness and again, drop down your center midline to the base of the spine, go all the way down, deep, deep down to the base of the spine. Put your attention in your hips at the base of the spine or lower, and breathe. Do not hold your breath. Go all the way down to the base of the spine or lower. Breathe in, breathe out. Nice big breaths in, relaxing breaths out. Drop your shoulders on the exhale. Keep your awareness at the base of the spine. Keep letting go of any tension coming up in your shoulders, your gut, your face, your eyes. Let those muscles soften. And now what I'm going to have you do is I want you to just step into the expansive energy of you now. Let's expand out. So let's pretend that from the base of the spine and your heart, you stepped into the center of the sun, and the sun stepped into the center of you. And those millions of tendrils of light that are going out in every direction. So as you breathe out, push that light out, push it out until you fill up the room that you're in. Use the breath to help you push the light out. Letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go as you push out. Until you can come to a place of allowing that light to just be. Rather than pushing, you move into allowing. This is called surrender. Keep breathing. Heather says she's got black goo that is covering and is stifling her light. Okay, ask that black goo, would you like to become something else? Now, with your eyes closed and with yourself in that expanded state, to the degree that you can, expanded and relaxed as much as you possibly can. I want you to notice, where is the Lord standing in the room right now? If you're yoked to him, where is he? Is he standing in front of you, behind you, beside you? If he's standing in front of you, what is he? How is he standing? What does he look like? What is he wearing? Where are his arms? How is the stance? Is he kneeling? Is he standing? Is he sitting? Notice, notice, notice. Everyone's going to have something different. So just notice what it is for you. And he says to you, would you like me to take that for you? And what is your answer? Take a moment. Notice what your answer is. Yes, please. Yeah, good. So in your mind's eye, pick up the burden, even if it's a giant house. Just pretend you're strong enough to pick up that burden. You're carrying it anyways. You're already carrying it. So pick it up and hand it to him. Place it on the altar. Let's pretend there's an altar or a table or a surface of some sort. We'll call it an altar. Place that burden, the house, the bags of groceries, the big boulder, lay it there on the altar and ask him, will you please receive this for me? Say it out loud if you want to. Will you please receive this for me? Big breath in, big breath out. Drop down to the base of the spine. Keep your attention there the whole time. Expand it out, expand it out, expand it out. Let your light shine out. Good. Keep breathing, keep letting go. And now I want you to say out loud these words. Repeat after me. I cast this burden of, maybe it's lack or scared or guilt or shame or fear, whatever it is. I cast this burden of fear on the Christ. And now I am free. So I would ask you, free to what? What is it that you want instead of this burden? What would you rather have? Do you have needs that need to be met? Do you need health, abundance, wealth, love, security, stability, respect? What is it that you need or want? So we're going to repeat again after me, and I want you to fill in the blanks with your words. I cast this burden on the Christ, meaning you're laying it on the altar. And I am free to have, and then fill in the blank. Breathe in, breathe out, let go, let go, let go. So if I was carrying around lack and suffering, I would say, I cast this burden of lack and suffering on the Christ. And I am free to have plenty of what I want and need. Or let's say maybe you're carrying some resentment or fear. I cast this burden of resentment on the Christ, and I go free to be loving and harmonious and happy. See what I'm saying? So you fill in the blanks. I feel like we're supposed to take this deeper, because in the book, In Florence's book, she talks about the Christ within. She talks about how when you're yoked to Christ, he's within. God is within you. The experiences that you have with God are within you. They don't happen outside of you. They happen within you. So let's do this. Let's add another element to this healing, and let's just notice, where is Christ? Is he standing? Is he sitting? Is he kneeling? Let's have him open up his arms and you step into the hug. Face him, step into that hug. And again, if you are not a Jesus believer, you have another philosophy or another faith, then customize this to you. Okay. Now, step into that hug. And as you step into the hug, I want you to feel your energy going into him and his energy going into you while you're in this embrace. I want you to feel that. Feel your light permeating into his body and his light permeating into your body to the degree that your hearts are one. Your minds, the two minds, have become one. Bring him right in, like you're breathing his energy, his light into you while you're in this hug, while you're in this embrace. Breathe him in, breathe in his light. Let your light go into him as well. Hearts and minds knit together. Now let's say this again. Hand the burden over to him and just ask him, will you please receive this for me? And then say your affirmation. I cast this burden on the Christ within. This burden of resentment or fear or shame or guilt. I cast this burden on the Christ within so that I may go free and have a loving, harmonious, peaceful heart. Whew. As you go through that experience, I want you to just notice, what does he do with it? As you give it over to him and cast it upon him. Okay, so he's under the house holding it with me. It turned to a cross. He's carrying my cross. Wow. Wow. What happened to the cross? Does anybody know what happened to the cross after Christ's resurrection? It probably decayed, deconstructed. It's probably not around anymore. It's probably gone. So I want you to notice, what does he do with your burden? Does he carry it around? Or does he transmute it? Does the burden, does the house, does the groceries, does the boulder, does it change? You asked it if it wanted to become something else. It probably gave you an answer. Heather says, actually, he told me I already know how to transmute this black goo, so I turned it into sparkly, glittery light. Starting at one edge of it, moving along the whole mass of goo, sparkling and dissipating and floating upwards like sparkly ashes integrating with the air. And I didn't do it alone. We did it together. You're making me cry because Christ is always within. You're making me cry. You never do it alone. Newsflash. You are never transmuting your burdens alone. There's always someone with you. And the Lord is always with you. Father, God, Mother, Divine Mother. God is not a single parent. You have a mother, and likely she's there too. About 4 days ago, I've been going through lots of burden in my own life, just life, right? Some stuff, heavy stuff. that has been weighing on me, weighing on my heart, making me feel so sad. And the other day, I usually go into holy time with Father and with Mother and with whoever else wants to show up. Every morning when I get up in the morning, I spend about an hour in there, in that place of yoking myself to them, stepping into them, letting them step into me. And I was trying to connect with Mother. And she said, Janet, I'm trying to connect with you. I want to connect with you, but you are preventing that connection from happening because you won't let go of the story, your story of suffering. Stop telling people that you're suffering. Stop wanting people to feel bad for you. And I was like, I don't know how to let go of this story. It's too huge. It's too deep. It's too hurtful. It's too painful. I don't know how to let it go. Mine was a cross, and the cross turned into a staff like a shepherd would walk with. Wow. That's incredible, Jean. Incredible. Mine turned into butterflies and flew away. Lori, wow. You guys, this is powerful. Amazing. Amazing. I'm not doing this. You're doing it. He's doing it. They're doing it. The God family is doing this. Take a breath in, take a breath out. I want you to drop down to the base of the spine. So anyways, in holy time, Mother said to me, I need you to let go of the story. Then you'll see clearly. Then I'll be able to commune with you and speak with you and connect with you. But I can't, I don't have your 100% focus because you're so weighed down by your sad story. So I would like for you to let go of your sad story. And are you willing to do that? And I said, I'm willing. I just don't know how. I don't know how to let this go of this story because it's in my face 24/7. She said, let go of the need to suffer over it then. So let go of the story about it. Just let it be whatever it is. It just is what it is. And you're okay. Okay. Keep breathing. We're going to do some fire breaths to just kind of release the remaining little bits of any of this gunk. And so that you can hand it over and cast your burden on the Lord as you yoke to him, as you carry his yoke and he carries yours, as you yoke together with him, together. Mike says, I felt an immense feeling of peace as it was lifted away all over my body. Awesome. Do you see how powerful the healer is? The healer is you. The healer is God. The healer is Christ. He is the lifter of all burdens. And he's the lifter of all burdens because he knows exactly what you're experiencing because he carried that. He felt it in his body. He felt the weight of the world in his body, the weight of all suffering, the weight of all evil, the weight of all poor decisions, the weight of all guilt, stress, anxiety, fear, long suffering. He felt it all at once in his body. That's why he can succor you. That's why you can yoke to him, because he did that. Okay, good. Breathe in, breathe out. Drop your attention to the base of the spine. We're going to do 15 fire breaths on the count of 3. If you've never done fire breathing, it's just in through the nose, out through the mouth. And we're going to do them simultaneously. Ready, go. Big breath in, big breath out. Keep breathing. I want you to keep breathing. In through your nose, out through your mouth, with the intention that you're letting this go. Drop your shoulders on the exhale. Sink down into your body at the base of the spine and expand out now, bigger, brighter, brighter, brighter. Now that God's light is shining through you and your light is shining through him, push that light out into the universe where it becomes God's light, all of the light in the universe. You become one with the entire light force, light field, the field of the universe. Become one with the grid, the network of light that is everywhere, that permeates all material form, that is in all things and around all things and through all things. Now let yourself become one with that. While you're doing that, I want you to keep the breath going. I want you to keep relaxing, dropping your shoulders, relaxing your face, your eyes, your shoulders, your back, your stomach, relaxing all the tension and dropping down into the base of the spine. Keep your awareness there at the base of the spine. I'm going to read to you what the fruits of this are. The fruits of casting your burden onto God, the creator of all that is, onto Christ or the Lord, whatever you want to term you want to use. The fruits are that you will see more clearly. You'll see yourself. You'll see truth. You'll see all that is true without the filters of other human beings to adulterate truth for you. You'll be able to see truth clearly as it comes to you from the purest source, that's God. Second, you'll feel lighter, you'll feel better, you'll feel a release, you'll feel a relief from the suffering of the burden that you were once carrying. You'll see manifestations of miracles when you're in this state, this lightness, and you've let go of the heaviness, you've let go of the dark story, you've let go of the need to carry around baggage and dirt and darkness. Those lower level emotions, that's darkness sitting on your hard drive. You got to work through that and release it and let it go. Another fruit of this process of casting your burden is that God will supply your need. The gods will be able to communicate with you better, just like what Divine Mother said to me. Janet, I can't talk to you when you're heavy laden. When you're so heavy laden, you can't hear me. You can't see me. You can't perceive me. You can't see clearly. You can't think clearly. It is poison to your mind and to your body, actually. These things come with biological consequences, and it will muddy your mind. Fear, doubt, stress, grief, guilt, sorrow, pain, resentment, all that stuff will muddy the mind and the body. It will cause you to not be able to have that mind-body connection. It will cause you to be distant from God. Doubt, fear, uncertainty, chaos, sadness, bitterness, judgment, jealousy, whatever it might be. That's poison. Buddha said that, how did he word it? Holding on to these things, I'm going to slaughter it, but basically holding on to fear and doubt and all of these lower level emotions is like taking rat poison and expecting the other person to die. When you're in this state of doubt and fear and chaos and uncertainty, that's the ego. When you're in that state, your imagination and your intuition gets muddied and corrupted. Your imagination will go wild in things that aren't true. So you got to be careful. Keep the breath going, keep processing, keep having that conversation with Christ, asking him to continue to pull this gunk out of your system. If it feels like a big rope that they're pulling out, ask for heaven to show up and help you pull this out so that you can let it go. If it's like a big chain or a big cord, ask for the angels that are there to support you and heal you and assist you invoke their help to pull it out of your body as you yoke to God. I'm going to share with you 9 principles that came out of this chapter, chapter 6 with Florence Scovel Shinn. 6 principles of casting burdens that you need to be aware of if you're going to do this. And you're going to need to do this work probably over and over a few times in order for it to be effective. Number 1, it's always darkest before the dawn. Have you ever noticed that? Usually before the awakening of something really grand in your life, everything goes wrong. Everything goes wrong. Chaos erupts in your life. Those are the times when everything is going wrong in your life and everything is falling apart. You should celebrate. You should celebrate in those moments, because guess what? Something big is on the horizon, something good, something grand, something amazing, that as soon as you cast this burden at the Lord's feet and stop suffering over it, it's going to manifest and you're going to receive the blessing. So it's always darkest before the dawn. When it's the darkest, before the great blessing, before the great miracle, celebrate in your suffering and then let that go. Number 2, active faith is essential. You have got to exercise as a better word, exercise faith. How do you exercise faith? Well, you act in alignment with the truth that is coming to you, the miracle that is coming, the release of this suffering. You act as if you've already been blessed with a miracle. One of the examples that she shared in the chapter was of a woman who there was a misunderstanding with her husband, and her husband left her. And she deeply loved her husband. She missed him. And so every night she would set a place for him at the table. Every night, exercising her faith that he would soon come back and that there would be a reconciliation. And there was. And he walked in through the door and there was reconciliation. That's what I mean by exercising faith. I think the other example she gave in the book was about Christ feeding the 5,000. You know, there was a big giant, that's a lot of people, right? That's a lot of people to have to feed. Before he fed them, he asked them to sit down and prepare themselves for the feast. That is exercising faith in the miracle that he was about to perform. So active faith is essential. Act in alignment with the miracle that you know is coming. Number 3, use music. Music has a powerful way to lift burdens. It has a powerful way to take you from this 3rd dimensional world and move you, transcend you into the 4th dimension so that you can feel lighter and fluffier and better and happier. It can go through and pierce your very soul, something that most things in this world can't do. The intellect can't do that, but music can do that. So dance, sing, express yourself with music. Singing, dancing, praising, gratitude to release the burden. Number 4, that was number 3, right? Number 4, look for the evidence. I think the story that she shared in there was about Christopher Columbus and how Christopher Columbus, when he was sailing out into the unknown, uncharted territory, how terrifying would that be? Terrifying, right? But he knew that he was close to land because he saw birds and he saw twigs in the water. Those were evidences that something big is on the horizon. Land. Okay, so look for the evidence of land. She gave another example of a woman who wanted a new set of china, like dinnerware. And she tried manifesting it, and all that came to her was a friend gave her a plate and it was cracked. She's like, I wanted china, but all I got was this cracked plate. And Florence said to her, that's the evidence of what's coming. Don't feel depressed that you didn't get what you wanted or you got less than what you wanted. Because if you go into depression or disappointment, you're going to block the miracle from manifesting the rest of the way. You'll keep yourself in a hovering pattern out in the ocean forever and ever and ever and never get to land. So don't just go, oh my gosh, I came all this way out here into the ocean and all there is a bird and a twig. This sucks, right? That if he had done that, he probably would have been kept in a holding pattern and never gotten to land. So you got to do the same. You got to look for the evidences and accept the evidence of what's coming and go into gratitude and say, oh, thank you, Lord, for this witness. Thank you for this evidence that the miracle is being manifest, and this is the beginning stages of it. Number 5, make believe, pretend. Do you know how powerful belief is? Do you know how powerful you are when you are in a state of belief? So make believe. There's a reason why children are so powerful in manifesting things and having faith to manifest miracles. We used to have our children pray miracles all the time because we knew that they weren't obstructed by doubt and fear. They just had this perfect brightness of hope and perfect faith that God would make it right. And so we would ask our kids to pray, and they would, and the miracles would come all the time, every time. So make believe. Make believe. Use your imagination to imagine and pretend the precursor. This is the precursor to the illumination of manifesting what God wants for you. Number 6, ease all fear from the subconscious. You've got to stay out of fear and you've got to stay into faith. We talked about that already, but faith and fear are really, really similar. Faith is knowing that something good is going to happen. Fear is knowing that something bad is going to happen. Both of them are the same thing, knowing that something's going to happen. So you got to play the what if game. The what if up. So what if something good happened? Rather, most of us what if down in the downward direction. We always say, oh my gosh, what if this happened? Or what if that happened? And we put ourselves in this crazy, chaotic state of fear. What if that happened? Well, it's probably going to happen because that's where you're putting your faith, right? So instead, play the what if up happened. What if the miracle happened? What if the husband returned? What if I got the plates? What if I got to land? What if, and always go in an upward direction as you play the what if game. But don't ever allow yourself to go down in the what if game, because that's where you'll go. That's what you'll manifest, is more grief, sorrow, sadness, bitterness, heaviness. So these are the burdens: fear, sadness, shame, guilt, uncertainty. Those are heavy. They weigh heavy on your body. You can feel them in your body. When you let go of those burdens, your body actually feels lighter and you can see clearly. Number 7, trust God. Trust the creator of all that is. He will fight your battles. That's his job. He will carry your burdens. In fact, not only will he carry your burdens, he will transmute your burdens. He'll teach you how to transmute your burdens. You guys just experienced that today. He'll teach you how to transform the energy of burden into the energy of light and love and gratitude. And that feels way better. And that's where all the stuff that you want lives. So trust God. He's the giver of the gift. He's the fighter of the battles. Hand it over. Cast your burden on the Lord. Number 8, keep your thoughts and your vibes high and light. It's important that you cast this burden, let go, and move into that lighter, fluffier feeling, because that's where all the stuff that you want lives. It vibrates there. You separate yourself from what you want when your emotions and your thoughts dip down. When they go negative, you become separate from the things that you want. You push it away. You don't want to push away all the things that God wants and has to bless you with. He wants to bless you with all of the miracles that you're seeking for, that your higher self is calling to it. God wants to bless you with that stuff. And if there are things that you've always wanted to have, be, or do, God wants that for you. It's a part of his will for you, but you push it away when you go into these lower level emotions. So you got to keep the vibe high. You got to keep yourself feeling really, really good. How do you do that? By being fearless. There's only two choices, faith or fear. So stay in the act, in the mode of faith, and keep the vibe. Divert your attention from the suffering by going and doing something that makes you feel good. If your bank account is too low, go spend some money on something that makes you feel rich. I know that that sounds very irresponsible to many of you. That is irresponsible. Why would I spend my last few dimes on something frivolous when I could be buying food, rent, whatever? I have a business coach. I hired her 7 or 8 years ago, and her husband died. And when he died, they found out that his $1 million company had been hijacked by his business partners. And before his death, he accidentally signed away over the inheritance to these business partners, and she didn't get a dime. She had nothing. She had these 7 little children, and had been used to living this very wealthy lifestyle, had a big giant home and property and 7 children to provide for, and now nothing, no inheritance. And so she had to go to work. She had to figure this out. She created a business for herself. And at one point in the business, there was like $100 or so. Maybe it was like $600 or $700. It was a big sum, but it was a small sum, right? It was probably about $600 or $700 left in her bank account. And she didn't know what she was going to do. And she contacted her mentor, her business coach. And he said, take that money that's left in your bank account and go out and buy yourself something with it that feels good, that feels exotic, because right now you're not in a good place. You're in a place of fear. You need to move into a place of luxury. So she did. She went out and bought herself a $700 handbag and used her resources for that. And guess what? The very next week, something fell into her lap, something came into play, and she was able to figure out her bills, and it all worked out. And she now makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in her business. So these are principles that we need to remember. Faith instead of fear. Do you fear disease? If you are fearless about disease, then you'll be immune. You can only contract illness while you're vibrating at the same level of the illness. You can only go into lack when you're vibrating at the same level of lack. So get out of that vibration and move into something higher. Fear drags men down to the level of the germ, says Florence. Number 9, this is the last one. Man's release will come when he realizes that there is no power in evil. Evil has no power, so don't focus on it. Focus on the light, focus on the good, focus on the miracle, focus on the truth. Put your trust in God. Germs, poverty, death, lack, sorrow, these things don't exist in the superconscious mind, in your I am, in your higher self. They don't exist there. Only in the natural man mind do they exist. So stop being in the natural man mind. Stop being carnally minded, and step into a higher vibration of truth and peace and possibility. These feelings or beliefs of fear, poverty, death, sickness, lack, sorrow, evil, all of these things are vain imaginations. They start in your mind and they fade away when you go into the 4th dimension. Okay, I'm going to end on this note. I hope you guys feel better. I hope you were able to cast your burden. I hope you were able to do that work. Revelations 21:4. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. How do we create a new earth? How do we create a new world where there is none of this stuff? How do we do that? We do it by casting our burdens, by trusting God, by stepping into the light and stepping into the truth of who you really are. You're going to need to repeat your affirmations. I am going to put together a handout for this class. If you guys want to purchase the replay and get that handout, you are more than welcome to go over to janetthurgood.com/courses. It won't be up until tonight though. So, because I have to go create a website to put that on. Please post the scripture. Revelations 21:4. So unmute yourselves if you have something to share. How was this for you guys? What did you experience? Did anything amazing happen? Do you feel lighter? What are the effects? What are the fruits? Let's talk about that. And let's just share a little bit back and forth. We've got just a couple of minutes for that. So go ahead and unmute your mics. You can type it into the chat if you want, or you can just talk. And let me know.
I guess I can talk. As we were doing all of that, I saw myself actually completely unyoked and just released and set free. And I could see myself walking through a field of beautiful flowers. And it was like the Lord was just setting me free to go explore what I needed to explore, even if it was just for a little bit. I didn't have to carry anything, so I could go explore the questions that I was having.
That's sovereignty. That's where Christ is leading you. So to a degree, we will yoke to Christ until we're able to be set free from the burdens of this lower dimension. And then we become sovereign beings, even as he is. We have, once we have overcome the world and overcome flesh and the burdens of the flesh, then we're set free. That is true sovereignty and autonomy. That's godhood. So you experienced a glimpse of your own godhood. That's true freedom. And that's where the gods are guiding us. The gods meaning Father and Mother and the Lord and whoever he's connected to. And like there's so many members of the God family that are here for us. And we often don't realize that we can yoke to any and all of them. We can ask for their help and their companionship. And when we do yoke to them, then the burden becomes light. It's like taking a boulder, a big rock, and moving it out into outer space, and now it weighs nothing. A baby could carry it. Josephina, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Hi. Yeah, what you said about Godhood, I feel like I've experienced that when I do my meditation. And yesterday I was doing the Divine Feminine, just like a random video I found on YouTube. But talking about finding the Divine Feminine and like feeling the power from within. And I was like, the whole rest of the day, my mothering job seemed like more like present, and just like I was able to like just be there more with my kids. Like usually I'm there, but like I'm just going through the motions. And yesterday I felt a difference, and I think that's what I'm trying to get to, is just being more present. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering after that, I was like, is the Divine Feminine like a part of the universe that you're tapping into, like an energy, or is the divine feminine just you, you know? And so, yeah, I was just like curious about that.
I think the divine feminine is an aspect of us. I think that when we're whole and we're sovereign and autonomous, we are the masculine and the feminine together as one. We've developed both masculine and feminine, the yin and the yang, right, together. So yes, the divine feminine is an aspect of us, but there's more to us than just that. So yeah, I do think that it is possible for us to step into our own godly natures. That's your higher self. That's your I am. That's when you get centered and you go within, that's what you're accessing is the God self within. Yeah. And so the fact that for Elizabeth, that the Lord set you free to just be, that's powerful. That's Godhood. And it's okay. It's okay. We don't, I think a lot of times in religion, sometimes we think that we have to put God way up on this pedestal and he's unreachable or they're untouchable and we're down here and they're up there and I'm never going to get there. And no, it's within. It's all happening within. The only thing that makes God different than you or Christ different than you is that they have learned how to access their higher self and be in it all the time. They don't fall victim to the mentalities of the mortal mind because they're always within. They come from within. They just be. They just are. They're tapped in, tuned in, turned on to their higher self all the time. And you can do that too. It just takes practice. Jane says, I felt it lift up from my body and my torso even lifted up from the bed I was laying on. That's amazing. Kelly says, in addition to the godhood, our righteous ancestors are here for us. Yes, I agree. I think that is part of the God family for sure. I think there's different levels of people who walk in the highest light to varying different degrees based on where they're at in their progression for sure. Kim says, I hopped on a little bit late and missed the book or the author. I'd love that info, please. The parts I've been here for have been profound and beautiful. Thank you. Yes. And then Charisse typed it in. It's Florence Scovel Shinn, The Game of Life and How to Play It. You can Google it. You can find it on Audible. Yes. Thank you, everybody, for being on here. Also, there is a song. I'm going to do a screenshot and I will... I'll send it to you guys in the group chat, or I can also post it in the Facebook group, Greater Life, Greater Impact. If you're not a part of the group, Greater Life, Greater Impact, go find me on Facebook, Janet Thurgood, and reach out to me in private messenger and tell me that you want to be a part of that group so that you can get the replay of this class, so that you can get the handouts. And then a copy of this song. This song is profound, powerful music, powerful wording based on everything that we talked about today. So, but there's just not enough time to share it all. Thanks so much. I feel lighter and empowered and at peace. Yes. Resource, the Sophia Code. Yeah, that's a really, really great book, actually. And I do recommend it as well. For those of you who feel a calling to do this work on a deeper level and to become certified as a quantum restoration specialist, or to do leadership work in this area and help other people as a coach or a mentor or a healer to make a living doing what you do, reach out to me privately and let me know that you have an interest in that. Our program runs for 4 months. You can get 6 different certifications in anxiety release, allergy clearing, spiritual awakening, quantum restoration technique, weight release, and what's the other one? Trauma release. If that's something that you feel a calling to do, that you know that you're supposed to help people on this path and you're supposed to make a living doing it, or maybe not, maybe you're supposed to do it for free. I don't know. But if you know that you're supposed to learn this art, these healing techniques and tools, please reach out to me privately after this class and I can get you information on that. Our program has been going for about a month, but we are going to start up another session here shortly. And so I want all of you to be able to take advantage of that if that's something that you feel a calling to do. All right. Everybody have a blessed rest of your day. Thanks for being here. Mwah. Take care. Bye.